I remember when we had spoken back when you were doing Moon that you had actually planned on doing, I don't know if it was a sequel, but another film that you were writing. Where is that film right now?
Well, that was a film called Mute, which has been kind of around for a while. I've been trying to get that made, and my producer and I have been sort of discussing it for a while. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and release that as a graphic novel. And that does two things for me. First of all, it allows those people who've kind of heard about this story for a while to actually get a chance to see it and see how it works as a story. And then maybe we'll be able to use it as a platform for trying to convince people who have the finances to see if we can get that film made.
Who are you thinking about to do the drawing for?
Well, we have just started having some of our meetings with various people, so I can't say anything right now. But we are hopeful that we'll get some people who are very talented that we would love to work with.
This was a script that was written by first-time writer Ben Ripley. How many scripts did you go through before you found one that you liked?
Well, that was one of the first ones that didn't involve a guy living on his own in space somewhere. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was actually passed on to me by Jake. I had a chance to have a meeting with him to discuss how we could maybe work together in the future. He had seen Moon and was a fan of that, and I was a huge fan of his. I think he's a very talented and very brave actor. And he passed me the script source code, and I read it, and I thought, this is something I can really sink my teeth into.
You get a script that you like, and you want to make changes to it, as you do with any script as a director. Were there some specific elements that you can talk about that you said, I really want to change this? And for this element, obviously, you have to have your vision.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, I think what Ben Ripley did structurally, I think it was very sound. I think it worked. What I loved about the script was how fast-paced and it is. I mean, it literally starts with a bang and then just goes at 100 miles per hour the whole way through. And I thought it was. I enjoyed the science fiction conceit at the heart of it. I felt like I kind of recognized some of the ideas that he wanted to play with. My one sense, though, was that I felt that the tone of the script that I read was quite serious. So I would say that one of my main interpretation, my main pitch to Jake about doing the film is that I wanted to lighten the tone a little bit and find ways to inject more humor into the film. And fortunately, that was something that he kind of understood and agreed with me on, and we both kind of ran with that idea. And I think that's what's given the film. I believe it's the success that we've been having so far. I think is that audiences appreciate the fact that it's got this lightness of tone.
Well, we actually did a contest on Facebook, and we had one of our fans go out to the premiere, and he absolutely loved it. And I think this is your second film that's been certified fresh by Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I never really sort of knew how important that would become to me. But the Rotten Tomatoes, my English accent came through. The Rotten Tomatoes certification is a big deal for all of us, and we've all been very excited by the fact that we just got certified fresh.
Obviously, Jake was attached because he had brought it to you. How did you find everybody else?
Well, the first person we obviously wanted to find was the right sort of the passenger that Jake finds himself on the train with, the woman who sort of finds herself as a bit of a love interest, and I had been a huge fan of Michelle Monaghan after seeing Shane Black's film Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and I thought she just did an amazing job in that film, where she was having to perform at the same level as Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer and really give as good as she got, and I thought she was terrific in that film. So I felt if we could sort of capture that performance that she got in our film, we'd be in a great place. After that, we obviously went after Vera Farmiga. I'd seen her in Up in the Air, and she had seen Moon, and I believe was a really enjoyed Moon, and I think it was just an amazing opportunity to work with an actress of that caliber, and then Jeffrey Wright as well. Similar kind of situation. I had met him once a long time ago, back when he did Basquiat, and I think we both thought it would just be really fun to actually have the opportunity to work together.
Was there a very significantly different process in the casting from when you made Moon?
It was surprisingly painless. I mean, I think the fact that Jake and I were so much on the same page right from the start really made the decision making on casting quite fairly simple, and everyone liked our first impulses, our immediate who we were gravitating towards. I mean, Michelle Monaghan was the first person we thought about. And fortunately, she was interested in the role and wanted to do it. So it kind of felt like we were immediately all sort of seeing things from the same perspective on it.
They take a director like yourself who has done a smaller film. There were visuals, but there weren't a huge number. Moon didn't have nearly what you had in source code. How is that different for you? Because now you're in a situation where you're like, okay, I've got to do a lot of different effects. I have to figure out a way of making all of that work. What's that process like for you to say, okay, I can definitely do this? Because they were talking about Superman, which would have been 50 times the effects.
I'm glad. I'm certainly glad that I did source code before before I was offered Superman. I mean, which obviously Zack Snyder was the guy they chose, but I was on that short list for Superman. I think there was a good progression though. I mean, Moon came in at probably around 400 effect shots. Source code's probably around 800 or so. So I felt a certain comfort with the effects, having come out of a commercials background anyway, where I had already been doing effects work. It was the same job, but just a bigger scale. There was still a lot of the same decisions that had to be made as far as it was a bigger budget, but it wasn't such a big budget on source code that I could sort of just do everything I wanted to. We really did have to pick and choose our moments and choose those moments where we decided that we really go to town on the effects. And we weren't able to do everything we wanted to, but I really think we got the most important stuff.
Obviously, you need a good cinematographer.
Don Burgess had a lot of experience. He did the first Spider-Man film and Forrest Gump. He'd just come off of Book of Eli. And he's a very down-to-earth, smart guy, straight shooter, has a good appreciation of how to do VFX work. So it was a good match for this project, I think.
And how did you pick Don? I mean, because there are a lot of great cinematographers out there, but how did you pick Don?
Well, we sort of went through a list of people who were available, and then did a series of interviews with the people that I felt would be sort of the best fit for the project we were doing. And Don was really the guy that I felt most comfortable with. I mean, he really was. He was down to earth, and he was very practical, and really it was just a nice calm influence to have on set. And I thought, he was the right guy for the job.
Loved the film. I thought you did a great job in it. I really love Moon too, and I'm looking forward to your next one. And what is your next one?
Well, that's a good question. I am working on what I hope will be my next film. It's a script I've been working on for a while. It's another science fiction film, and possibly will be my last science fiction film for a while once it's complete. It will hopefully marry what has been successful for me on Moon and Source Code. It will be the more independent streak, sort of original idea of Moon with maybe the budget that we had on Source Code, and hopefully we can create something really exciting and interesting.
2 last questions, if I may.
Sure.
What was your best day on set? You walked in, you were like, this is it, this is really happening. And the second question is, what was the day where you were just like, oh crap, I got to get out of here?
Well, the best day on set was it's difficult because when you're on set, you're always sort of waiting to see how things are going to fit together. So that's the trickiest bit. But I think early on, within the first week when I was working with Jake and Michelle, and I really got to experience how much fun Jake can be to work with. He really did have, I'm incredibly grateful to him for having the confidence in me to be willing to just go with my suggestions and take on board my crazy approach to what we should be doing on the train, the sort of that part of the film. And he really was just taking on my advice and incorporating that into his performance. And that's really edifying. That feels good for a director to have that trust from your actors. The worst one was where we had to do, basically we built a train station, the one in the film, in a parking lot in Montreal, and the weather in late winter, early spring in Montreal was just messing us around so badly that we had to shoot, and shadows were moving all over the place and appearing and disappearing, and the weather was just not cooperating. So that was incredibly frustrating, especially for someone like me who really does like to, is a bit of a control freak and likes to be able to make everything just so.
That is not easy on a film set.
never easy on a film set when everyone is ready to shoot and the actors are ready and you're waiting on light.
Well, I do appreciate your time, Duncan, and I hope, where are you right now?
I'm in Los Angeles today, and we'll be I think we go back to New York tomorrow morning for getting ready for the big opening, which is incredibly exciting and very nerve-wracking.
I'm sure it is. Well, it'll be great. It's a really good film, and obviously people are really enjoying it. So,
thank you so much.